an organization who is trying to change the way image and media is consumed today at scale. This organization has taken up a technical problem and changed it into a growth engine for businesses.
And that is how ImageKit was born. Can we make it simpler for larger companies who are already operating with millions of images at scale across so many different devices? Can we make it easier and more economical for them to do that? We now do digital asset management, we now do video delivery and optimization as well. So the faster your page, it's more likely to rank higher. There would be more conversions where we are delivering billions of assets every day. The content consumption is only going to increase in the future.
I'm Manish Yadav, and today we are sitting with one of the esteemed leader who is trying to solve the internet's most expensive problem. Today we have Mr. Rahul Nanwani, the co-founder and CEO of ImageKit, an organization who is trying to change the way image and media is consumed today at scale. Today, when we use image and we consume media, we do not really understand how much of impact does it create on the website, loading, the storage it takes to save those images and those media, and lastly, the impact it creates on user experience. This organization has taken up a technical problem and changed it into a growth engine for businesses. Rahul, I want you to introduce yourself to our audience.
So thank you so much for having me here on this podcast. I'm Rahul. I'm one of the co-founders here. And when we started this company back in 2016 or like early 2017, I started this with two of my other co-founders, Manu and Somesh, and all of us were on the technical side at that time. But currently in my role, I mostly look at sales and marketing and all the other customer-facing functions of the company. And when we started off ImageKit at that time, we were solving a small part of what we do right now. We started in the image CDN and the image optimization and transformation space. But over the years, obviously, that's evolved to a much bigger problem that we are solving. For example, we now do digital asset management. We now do video delivery and optimization as well, essentially solving for the entire media processing, media management pipeline at larger organizations, right? So I'm happy to be a part of this conversation and talk more about what we do as a company and how we have scaled over the years and our plans for the future as well.
We want to understand, how did you think that ImageKit could be a solution to a problem back when you started this journey in 2016? What was that problem which you saw and you felt that, okay, ImageKit is the solution for this problem? Was it your own experience which it came down to? Or was it somebody coming to you and saying that, okay, this is a problem which industry is facing, why not we look at a solution?
So thank you so much for asking that, right? So my co-founders and I, we used to work at the same company. We were a part of a travel company at that time. And given the nature of our business at that time, we had millions of images for different destinations, hotels, holiday packages, etc., that we had to deliver on our websites and apps. And this is about 2014, 2015. Which was also the time when mobile apps were becoming more and more prominent in India, right? Most businesses have started going towards creating mobile applications for different platforms. It was at that time when we were delivering so many different images, and now you don't just have your desktop and laptop devices, you also have your mobile apps. With mobile apps, at least at that time when 4G was not that prevalent, we were also looking at problems with network fluctuations. Every device, every mobile device had a different requirement of different formats or different resolutions that needed to be delivered to each of them. So back in that company, we actually used a third-party tool to solve for this image delivery and image optimization problem across so many different devices. Because as a business, let's say we are a travel business. We were a travel business, let's say at that time. And it's true for any other company, let's say that's e-commerce, news and media, etc. Their core business is not solving for image and video optimization, unless maybe you are an Instagram or Pinterest. It's just a side problem to solve, but a very essential problem to solve as well. So we started using a third-party solution at that time to solve for this problem. We ran into a lot of issues while we were doing it, both in terms of implementation and cost. It just took us a lot of months to move to that third-party solution. And then when we were stuck in that problem, it so happened that we also then built an alternate internally first, right? So it was me and my co-founders who were sort of tasked to build out that solution first internally.
Right.
And because at that time we saw that, there could be a potential solution that would actually help us, mitigate all the problems that we face, both in terms of the migration and the integration effort and in terms of the costs as well. And that is how ImageKit was born. Our inspiration was that, can we make this image optimization problem across different devices? Can we make it simpler for larger companies who are already operating with millions of images at scale across so many different devices? Can we make it easier and more economical for them to do that?
But like you mentioned there, you were yourself using a third-party platform, right? And likewise, there are many platforms which have evolved during the period or previously before the inception of ImageKit, right? What really makes it a very different product altogether, Rahul?
Right. So we started off only on the image optimization and image delivery side of things. And that's why we also have the name ImageKit, because that is what we had started solving. And that's the domain name that we bought back in 2016 and 17. But first thing, over the years, the major thing that has changed is that we are no longer image only, though the name is still ImageKit, but we now also cater to more modern formats. For example, almost all businesses are either using videos or they're at least experimenting with video content at scale, because that is a better form of content in terms of user engagement, in terms of even, let's say, presenting. Let's say if you're selling a product on an e-commerce website, that's also a better format for that. And we have also buttoned into digital asset management, which is the part where, let's say, it's a large organization that has product images, you have banners, you have your sale banners going out. So there are a lot of digital assets that get created for a company that need to go out on different platforms, whether it's websites, mobile apps, maybe their email notification, the social media. So the digital asset management platform actually helps you store and manage and efficiently search and collaborate on all of that content that gets generated. This comes before the final delivery on the mobile app. So over the years, as a solution, we have evolved from being, let's say, an image-only CDN to handling media management and media delivery for different kinds of formats as well. The other major change, or let's say the other major differentiator when it comes to what makes us different, one, and this is true from when we started itself, right? That our solution was meant to work with any kind of enterprise architecture, right? If we were not, let's say, forcing people to migrate all of their media to our platform and only then they would be able to optimize or deliver content from there. Even right now, there are cases where people don't want to use digital asset management. They don't face a problem in that area. They just want video delivery and streaming, or let's say image delivery and optimization. The tool is pretty flexible in that sense that we work with any part of your infrastructure. Let's say you're using some sort of cloud storage, like let's say AWS S3, and you don't want to move all of your millions of assets because that's not practically possible to move everything to our platform and then start using it. So that's been a major differentiator in terms of how our solution works, that it can work with any part of the infrastructure.
If I'm an organization with, say into the e-commerce industry and I have around 5,000 products, how does ImageKit differentiate itself versus the competition, right? What is that value which I will get as a customer when I use ImageKit solution?
Right. So, like I said, it's the same tool that can work for both images, videos, maybe even PDFs, documents, your asset storage, etc. And even now we also use GenAI, for example, for creation of content or creation of personalized banners, etc.
Okay.
So the one major advantage over, let's say, using any other tool would be that you're sort of future-proofing your media pipeline. That you're not starting off with one tool that does only images, and maybe 1 year down the line when you have to look at videos, or you now have to look at, say, creation of more personalized content, you would have to look at different set of tools. So we're solving for all of that in the same tool itself.
Okay.
And then given the fact that, let's say you said that you have, let's say, 5,000 or 10,000 images or videos that you already have in your storage, we have literally had cases where there are even millions of images in your storage and you can get started off within like next 50, 20 minutes. You can at least get the setup done and be able to test and start integrating on your website. That's the advantage of the solution that we have, that regardless of where your files would have been stored,
Right.
you can start delivering and optimizing them, not just images, but videos and other content formats as well. So that is what sort of differentiates us from other competitors.
Could you give us some scenarios and help us walk through, say, a before and after journey of, say, hypothetical customer? Uh, what value and how does it help them generate sales and revenue eventually?
Sure. So let's assume a scenario, though it's hypothetical, that let's assume a scenario that a business has no optimization being done at all, right?
Okay.
That's usually not the case when we now start, because optimizing is something that's really essential and companies have solved it to, let's say at least a 50% problem solution has already been done, but till the time we get in. But for a business, there are two major advantages. One, let's say from your own cost point of view, lesser is the amount of data that you are sending out from your systems, lesser would be your own cost as well, right? So for example, if you're streaming, let's say 100 terabytes of videos, but you are able to optimize that streaming down to maybe, let's say 50 terabytes, that's lesser data going out of your systems. And on any cloud provider, there is a charge for, let's say, the data that goes out. So the lesser the data is, lesser would be your cost as a business. The second major advantage, though, of this is the fact that lesser is let's say lighter are your images and videos, and the faster they would load for your users. And the faster they would also load for, let's say, a search engine like Google, etc., which also values, or let's say places a lot of value on how fast your page loads and how good that experience is on that page.
Right.
So the faster your page, it's more likely to rank higher in page speed rankings, or at least Google views that as an indicator that, okay, you have worked on user experience as problem and it tries to rank you higher. And even your actual users, they get a better experience and they're more likely to engage and convert with whatever you are, let's say, trying to sell it to them. Let's say whether that's a product, whether you're trying to get them to watch a video, whatever that is, that experience improves as well, which means there would be more conversions that are likely to happen as compared to a business where, let's say, images or videos take a lot of seconds, versus a business where everything is really snappy and loads really quickly. So these are the two major advantages for a business. In the last, let's say, 1 or 2 years, given the new technologies and new products that we have developed, right, there is also a new capability unlock for businesses in terms of content creation, right? So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're visiting an e-commerce website, right? And you are looking for t-shirts specifically, versus there is some other customer, let's say a female customer looking at saris right now. Like now, larger e-commerce companies, they want to personalize the experience that they present to each user, right? So if you land on their website, you would probably see a banner which has, let's say, a t-shirt and maybe a discount percentage, some relevant brand logos placed over there. Okay. Whereas if the female customer lands, they would have a different kind of banner that needs to come just targeting. Now, imagine doing this for a lot of different cohorts of customers. You would have to generate all of these banners manually, right? Your creative team would need to create a lot of different permutation combinations of banners, right? Whether that's, let's say, ethnic wear, Western wear, etc., which is not possible to do manually, right? So with the newer features we have added to the product, whether that's, let's say, that's using image and video transformations, whether that's using generative AI, etc., legal, or let's say customers and businesses, they are able to create a lot of these personalized banners, which improves the overall experience and, makes it more personalized for any visitor that's coming on the website, which is what improves, again, it improves their engagement. It improves, that this brand gets me, this understands what this brand looking for, and it helps improve the conversions as well, right? So that's a relatively new use case that we have started seeing with customers, given the improvements in our product as well.
That's a very well thought use cases which you just showcased to our customers and our listeners today, Rahul. Thank you for that. You mentioned a very critical piece, GenAI, AI. Technology plays a very significant role, right, in today's time. And AI is the paramount today. And how does it help what you call scale the use of ImageKit as a solution?
Right. So the domain that we operate in, which is images and videos, most of the activity in generative AI is actually happening in this domain, right? And you would have seen that there was a lot of, let's say, information going around LinkedIn or, at least in the last year that, AI can do X, AI can do Y, etc. So we obviously had a lot of activity in our domain. But to be honest, this year that sort of, the initial interest that was there in AI that has sort of mellowed down a bit, and it has become, I would not say mellowed down, it has become more realistic to what's the actual problems that people can solve. And we have also taken our time that instead of just launching, let's say, an AI agent to do certain things, we've also tried to work with our customers, try to beta test a few features initially and see what is it that, what's the problem that we can actually solve for them using AI while still maintaining the sort of brand guidelines and compliances and, the checks that these customers want to have, right? So the major application of AI that we now see in our business, especially in the digital asset management side of things, is that when you are ingesting content, you should be able to organize the content as per your business requirements. I'll give you an example. Let's say let's say you sell watches online. Now, as a watch business, you would want to organize your images maybe by the dial color, the strap color, the shape of the die, etc. So one of the recent developments that we have added to the product is that each business would be able to customize the kind of organization that they want. They would be able to use these new LLMs to identify the content that's there in their images and even videos, and use that to create their own business specific organization, which means their teams would also then be able to search for content using that terminology that's relevant for that business, right? So that's a major application of AI in terms of search and organization. On the media delivery side of things, again, given that there are so many different form factors of devices that are now going around, a lot of content that's been created, let's say pre-2023, for example, was always in landscape mode and it was created for laptops and desktops, right? But now with mobile becoming more common, we do see that, okay, people have created, let's say, a 16:9 image. Now they want to adapt it to a 9:16 aspect ratio or vertical aspect ratio for mobile. Right. How do you do that, right? So we are using generative AI, for example, to expand an image to automatically add a relevant background to that image by understanding what's the existing content in the image, or by changing the background, helping people experiment with product placement. Let's say you took a product placement on this table, you take a shot, but now you want to try a different product placement, maybe place it on a marble slab, for example, right? Without doing a reshoot, can you use GenAI to do that, right? So these are some of the applications that we are having on the media delivery side of things, allowing people to experiment with the final image that goes out without having to do a reshoot, but else by using AI with their existing images itself.
When we look at AI, right, it requires a lot of a very supreme infrastructure, right, to support that level of use cases to be deployed seamlessly and give that experience the user is actually say anticipating, right? Your engagement with AWS goes long back from the day of inception, right? How has that journey been with AWS? How have they been a very critical pillar with their very robust infrastructure supported you in at the time of being more agile and being more multiple in?
So when we started ImageKit in 2016 and 2017, AWS was the only large cloud provider that had a physical presence and a team in India. And I always believe that, when you are selling software or let's say cloud products to any company, they're not just looking for that infrastructure, but they're also looking for that guidance and that support that comes from the people that are there actually the team, right? Right. And that's something that we have had from AWS right from inspection. Even when we were just a 3-member, let's say 3 co-founders working together, we had person connect with the team here, suggesting that the right products we use and helping us scale as well, both in terms of costs and, the newer products that we should adopt at that time. Apart from, let's say, for example, AI, one major piece of our software is that we offer these services globally, not just in India. Okay. So we have our customer base spread across 80 countries now. Right. And which means that either for, let's say, data compliance reasons or for, ensuring that processing happens closer to the end users. When I say end users, it would be the end users of our customers' application, right? Right. So to ensure that, we have had to deploy our application globally, right? Currently, we run it in 6 processing regions across the globe. We are soon going to add more processing regions as we start onboarding more enterprise customers, which have more data compliance requirements, the data needs to be stored and processed in a specific region. That's been a major, let's say, factor for us, let's say, in our journey with AWS, that we have never faced a blocker in that sense, that we started off with just one region, let's say in Singapore, but right now we are in 6 different regions, and we have the optionality to expand into, let's say, Middle East, or expand into any other, let's say, region. So that reliability and that availability of all the services across regions has actually helped us ensure that, our developers are just focused on building the application, because we know that the infrastructure would be taken care of. And especially, over time, as we have scaled, and over time, as we are delivering more and more content for our customers, we also require the underlying infrastructure to scale as well, right? The current scale that we operate at, where we are delivering billions of assets every day, we obviously need a reliable technology partner. That's someone who is able to scale, and also someone who is able to come in and help us if we do get stuck at some bottleneck, right? And help us fix those things. So I think that's really been helpful, the connect that we have had with the AWS team, and the AWS infrastructure itself has allowed us to expand globally really quickly without having to worry about any of the infrastructure issues.
How does AWS help in that journey, being more secure and more fast when we are looking at a global level of Adobe?
Right. So we do use the CDN that comes as a part of AWS, which is CloudFront. All our content delivery, application delivery does happen over CloudFront. So that in itself, along with some of the other edge products that we have, that gives us one layer of security there. And apart from that, we have also used the best practices of deploying on the cloud, and the fact that the underlying infrastructure of AWS itself is complying with all the standard security policies that are there, which over a period of time have allowed us to become compliant ourselves for, let's say, for ISO 27001 or SOC 2 compliance. We've been able to fulfill all of those by building on top of the security and, features that come within AWS itself. For example, whether that's, let's say, encryption of content that's getting stored internally, in which region does it get stored, right? And how are we securely moving data between regions if needed? Yeah. So we have been able to do all of those things because of the underlying infrastructure enabling us and sort of providing us with that right support for the infrastructure. And now in the last few years, we've also started using some of the newer edge products that AWS has provided to enhance the security that we are offering to our customers. Because as we ourselves have moved enterprise and we have started onboarding larger customers, there are more requirements around access controls, more requirements around can you secure our delivery of content and make sure that it does not get delivered on any other website. It's private and protected. Let's say when we were speaking, for example, to customers in India, some larger companies in India, right, we realized that a lot of companies in India actually wanted a more affordable, reliable solution, a digital asset management solution that comes out of India. Because prior to this, every other vendor that's there in this space is a foreign company that sells in India. So obviously the pricing does not match the Indian sensibilities. And in fact that there is no local team to support as they grow, right? When we first started talking to some of these larger customers, it was they who suggested that, okay, if you were to build out something like this is what our problem is, that we need to share assets with, let's say, agencies, or we have a really large marketing team and they find it really difficult to use Google Drive. And then they need to share it with tech team that needs to post it on a separate object storage. So that is what was the realization for us, that, okay, digital asset management is actually a big problem to solve. And within digital asset management, again, when we built out that product over the last 2 years, then when we started pitching this idea to some of our other customers, it was like everyone wanted to have this. There was no solution that existed for this in the market. And obviously, even our solution is still in its very early stages and will improve over time. But this is what we learned, that people do want custom organization and someone to be able to understand their vocabulary and use that to manage the assets instead of imposing something that's generic based on top of it. So these two things have been, sort of moments where we realize that, okay, we're on to something big and, a big problem that a large number of companies do face.
We're coming to the end of our conversation, Rahul, and I want to pose a last question to you, which is, where do you see ImageKit from this particular stage, which is 2026, as an organization? And how does you see the AWS partnership growing along in that journey?
Right. So as I first cover the first part of it, right? As a product and as a problem space, right? The the content consumption is only going to increase in the future, right? Uh, Within, let's say, my time from, let's say, from school to now, I have seen, uh, content go from being just text only to images to videos, and now we have augmented reality, virtual reality, etc. coming in. That would keep increasing over time, the kind of content consumption that we now have because of mobile devices, better internet connectivity, that's only going to go up in the future. The second thing that would change would be only the device or the form factor where you view content, right? It was desktops, laptops, mobile. It could possibly be, let's say, any other augmented reality device or the VR, let's say, glass, vectoralized. It would only be these two things that change, but the underlying nature that there would be more content consumption. And as a result of it, businesses would be creating more content. That underlying problem would still stay, right? So as a business, we would still need to just evolve our platform itself to be able to cater to newer content formats and newer form factors that are coming in. For example, just yesterday, there was an announcement. There is a new image format that would now be supported in, let's say, Google Chrome and all the Chromium based browsers, right? These would be the two things that we see changing in terms of the industry, which would mean that right from content creation to QC to management to the final distribution of assets would essentially start falling within the same tool itself. And that's what we see in the global market as well, that tools that were there only in the digital asset management space or tools that were there only in the media delivery space, all of it has sort of started to come together, because if you are creating something, you also want it to be finally distributed and delivered or be accessible to your team. So we do see a merger of all of these industries over a period of time that would happen. And because there would be, let's say, so much more content that we would need to produce, so much more, let's say, enterprise use cases, whether that's, let's say, new geographical locations, new, let's say, levels of scale that we would be hitting, especially with Gen AI, the fact that it does require a lot of compute and does require a lot of, let's say, learning for models and then deploying them on production, making sure that they're running quickly in different regions and maintaining data compliance as well. Again, because you need to pass on data for training these models or for executing them as well. So we do see that over a period of time, we would need more and more, let's say, infrastructure or, let's say, services across more regions than what we do right now to be able to scale the product from what it is right now versus what changes we see in the industry in the next couple of years. And we see that with AWS being there, I really don't see that the infrastructure part would be a challenge, because we are already, let's say, using most of the services that we need. It's just a matter of scaling them both horizontally in different regions and vertically within the same region to enable that growth that we are looking at.
Interesting. Rahul, this was fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that journey with us. We hope ImageKit continues to grow and continues to solve bigger problems of the industry. Viewers, thank you so much. This was a very interesting conversation with one of the esteemed leaders in the industry. This was it from our side this time. Stay tuned for more such conversations in 2026.